What is going on, my Concise Conversation family? I hope you guys are all doing well today on this fine June 28th. Wow, this month is flying by. I hope you guys are doing well. I'm doing great. Sorry for this video coming out a day late. It's interesting that it's a video today about mental health, because I'm going to say I took a mental health day yesterday, just because, you know, recording these videos, I'm loving doing them, and I think people are seeing a lot of value, but talking about things as vulnerable as this definitely can be draining. So sorry about that, but it is coming out to you guys today. So this is day 4 of the 9-day Pride Month countdown, and today we're going to talk about LGBTQ plus mental health. And I think I have made mental health videos on my channel in the past, but I do think that a lot of the things I have talked about are even more amplified when it comes to the LGBTQ plus community, just because, number one, a lot of the things that we deal with mental health wise, we deal with alone, and which is for a large majority of people. But I think for us, it just comes from a sense of shame and a sense of not wanting other people to know why we're feeling the way that we're feeling. So therefore we close ourselves off and don't allow others to give us the support that they might be able to give us or might be willing to give us, just because we don't want to let them know sometimes about our sexuality or about our identity. So I just want to talk about a few things and continue on with the story of my life in this 9-day countdown. So I don't think I ever really dealt with feelings of anxiety, depression, or any other mental health things growing up in regards to my really growing up at all. I had a pretty blissful childhood, but definitely not in terms of my mental health. I think this is definitely because if you saw the video with Zania, we were talking about our identities and how we outwardly present and how that has affected some of the struggles that we've gone through. So because I outwardly present as a straight cisgender male, I think it was a lot easier for me to navigate middle school, high school, even the first years of college without fully presenting my sexuality externally. And because of that, I think I was able to have a lot of the privileges that straight cisgender men get, and that allowed me to hide my identity in a sense. And I feel like that definitely allowed me to not have to go through a lot of mental health things that a lot of outwardly presenting gay people have to go through right off the bat without any choice, you know. But I do think that when it does come to kind of that shape-shifting mentality that a lot of queer people have in terms of when they're by themselves or with people that they're comfortable with, they're able to show their most genuine selves and really show their soul identity whereas when they are not around people that they feel completely comfortable or safe around, they kind of change their identity. We kind of change our identity and kind of don't show the purest form of our soul. And I think that type of shape-shifting mentality can leave us confused about who are we really. And I can definitely say I went through this after the ending of my relationship, and also I would say it was during a time where I was dealing with depression and anxiety and definitely a loss of identity. And I think this also stemmed from when I was in my relationship. It was during COVID, like peak COVID. I mean, we're still in COVID, but it was peak COVID. So we were able to spend a lot of time by ourselves and a lot of time kind of isolated from the rest of the world, which was nice in the sense that, hey, you're with your partner, like, you know, it's something new and you guys are able to spend a lot of time together. But I feel like because of that, I blurred the lines between my individuality and the relationship, and it kind of melted into one. And I think with that loss of individuality, especially when prior to the relationship, I thought I had known myself fully, but obviously not. You know, I think with those two things merged, when I came out of the relationship, I definitely was dealing with a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety, and definitely a loss of identity where I was like, who are you? Like, what do you stand for? What is your identity built on? And in prior videos, I've talked about this theme of a loud confidence versus a quiet confidence. And I think again, if you haven't heard it before, but a loud confidence is one that is externally motivated. So outwardly, it looks like you are very confident, you are very put together, very strong in your identity, but on the inside, you're not. And because of that, if someone takes out a piece of your shell, you can just crumble very easily. But a quiet confidence is one that is internally driven and allows you to truly love yourself. I think that's how I see it, or at least how I see it for me. Like, when you build that quiet confidence within you, then there's really no pieces anyone can take out because you're whole by yourself. And I think that is a key proponent in rebuilding an identity, your identity, after you feel like you've lost your identity, because you cannot build your identity on an unstable foundation. So I think when I really backtracked and tried to figure out my morals, figure out my standards, figure out my identity and what I will and will not tolerate, aka boundaries, I was able to build that quiet confidence in that now I have a very sturdy and solid foundation that I can keep on building the rest of my identity and the rest of my personality and sculpt myself into the person who I actually want to be. And I think it's easy for us to think that, for me, prior to my relationship, I was like, this is a person I want to be. I'm happy. I just made a YouTube channel. I just got into a relationship. Like, my life is thriving. But I think, especially during that honeymoon phase of a relationship, and even you could say the honeymoon phases of life, where we are in the beginning phases of new projects and meeting new people and things like that, where it can feel like everything is in this blissful state. But I think it comes with a balance. I feel like I personally strive for balance in every aspect of my life. And I think the balance was, the scales of balance were shifted when I made myself believe that I was already the whole person that I thought I was, when in reality I wasn't, So I think that in order to really be proud of the identity that you have to first start with self-love and first start with building yourself a solid foundation. And another thing I want to talk about more in depth is just the isolation that I feel like a lot of queer people face, in general, but especially in regards to their mental health. I think, I know that when I was going through my depressive episode, isolation was my best friend. I just stayed by myself, kind of unplugged myself from society and human interactions. And it was a lot easier for me because of COVID, because everyone was in isolation, but not everyone isolated themselves, So I think I isolated myself from the world and tried to deal with a lot of these issues and a lot of the ways I was feeling by myself, which is understandable, especially when you're dealing with issues or disruptions regarding your sexuality, because sexuality is not a thing that a lot of people can freely and openly talk about and be vulnerable about. And I think, so that is why a lot of us deal with these things on our own. But I would very, very much encourage you to go out and ask for support. Go out and find your community and go out and find people who care about you and who want to be there for you. Because although isolation does serve its purpose, it's very easy to get comfortable being isolated and then have to fight your way back to reintegrating yourself into your friend groups or reintegrating yourself into society or the community, So I would say try your best not to isolate yourself. Try your best to integrate yourself into loving communities and integrate yourself into spaces where you feel safe and you feel comfortable sharing your true identity and sharing the way that you're feeling. Because I feel like a lot of times we stigmatize mental health to where people don't feel safe or don't feel validated in expressing what they feel and how they currently have a perspective of life. And I think the only way to shift those perspectives is to have conversations about these things and have conversations about the way that we are feeling and the way that we are perceiving life. And those perceptions can change through the advice or through the conversation of a loving and trusted person in your life. So I would definitely try to avoid isolation or avoid over isolation. I think a very big thing about especially queer people's mental health is releasing shame. A lot of us have a lot of built up and inherent shame that was placed in us by maybe caretakers, parents, society, and because of that shame, we are scared to come out of our shell and to really express our identity and express the way that we are feeling to other people, because we think that we're going to get judged, we think that we're going to get ostracized, or we're not going to be accepted. And I think what that shame does is build up this feeling of fear, really. Build up this feeling of fear and also self-loathing, where we don't feel like we're enough, we don't feel worthy, we don't feel loved in our surroundings and in our community. But I think the problem at hand is that we are not allowing ourselves to be loved, and we're not allowing ourselves to be supported by not only the people around us, but by ourselves. And I think shame is one of the lowest vibrational energies that you could keep within yourself, because shame is telling yourself that you are not enough. Shame is telling yourself that you are not worthy. And I think once you're telling yourself those things, it's impossible for anyone else to tell you that you are loved and you are worthy, and for you to actually accept that for yourself. So my biggest piece of advice throughout this whole video is that whatever you do, please release any past programming of judgment, self-judgment, any past programming of self-loathing or self-judgment, and turn those feelings into self-love and self-acceptance. And I think once you make that mindset switch of I am whole by myself and I release any feelings of shame, then you will see that a lot of people in your life just want to be there for you, and they just want to help you in any way that they can. And once you allow yourself to be helped, then I think you will see that there's so many more people who are on your side in your life than against you. So I hope you guys found value in this video. This is going to be titled Day 4 of the 9-day countdown, mental health. But I hope you guys are taking care of your mental health and you're doing well wherever you are. I will catch you later. Peace out.